Training Circular Number 2530, Headquarters Department of the Army, Washington, D.C., 27th, 1994. A Leader's Guide to Company Training Meetings, Table of Contents, Chapter 1, Company Level Training Management Overview, Training Management Responsibility, Long Range Planning, Short Range Planning, Near Term Planning. Chapter 2, Training Meeting Planning Processes, Meeting Objectives, Who Attends and Why. Training Meeting Time and Place, Training Meeting Frequency. Chapter 3, Preparation for Training Meetings, Commander's Assessment, Training Meeting Worksheets, Training Aids, What to Bring to a Training Meeting. Homework. Chapter 4, Conducting Training Meetings, Agenda, Completed Training, Near Training, Short Range Training. Chapter 5, Preparing for Training, Certification Leaders and Training, Guidance of Trainers. Preparing yourself for training. Prepare for resources, prepare for training, support personnel, prepare for the soldier, evaluation plan, Appendix A, platoon meetings, organization agenda, tips for successful meetings, Appendix B, leaders books, organization administrative, soldier data, leader book, applications, glossary, reference, authorization letter, distribution restriction approved for public release, distribution is unlimited. Chapter 1, Company Level Management Overview of Training Management. Definition of effective training is an Army's number one priority during peacetime. Training management is the process of using the Army leaders identifying training requirements, then planning, resource, executing, evaluating training. At the company level, at all levels of command, a training meeting is an essential element of the training management process. Training meetings are periodic term meetings conducted by leaders to review past training, planning, preparing future planning, exchanging timely training information between participants. Basic focus training. Battle focus is the process of deriving peacetime training requirements of wartime missions. The purpose of developing battle focus approaching the training is to allow commanders to achieve a successful training program by consciously narrow the focus of the unit training efforts to a reduced number of vital tasks that are essential to mission accomplishments. Once the commander has developed a battle-focused approach to the training, the next to ensure that the scarce of resources, time, training dollars are not wasted. For more in-depth discussion in battle-focused training, see Chapter 1, Field Manual 25-101. Alright, and it shows a quote, training in all its phases must be intensive, it must be intelligent directly so that every individual, including the last private in the ranks, can understand the reason for the exertions he is called upon to make. Dwight D. Eisenhower, General of the Army. Time management cycle. The training management cycle begins with the assignment of the wartime mission with establishment of mission essential task list. For more detailed discussion, mission essential task list development, Chapter 2, Field Manual 25-101. Mission essential task list is developed becomes the training focus for the unit where we want to be in terms of training proficiency with the training management cycle. Continue with the training assessment. The assessment is where we are checking in terms of training proficiency for the unit. Two basic elements of training management cycle: the defined framework of the training plan, knowing where you are, training assessment, and knowing where you're going. Mission essential training task list are half the battle of conducting effective training. Training management cycle is a continuous cycle of planning, executing, and assessing. Figure 1.1 show of the training management cycle an important aspect of the cycle with the continuous use of the feedback to refine the training plan. Feedback takes many forms: personal observation, after action reviews, informal evaluations. To take just a few, primary form of the discussion training assessment is the training meeting. Training management system goes to wartime mission essential task, your battle focus, going into prepare assessments, planning, and then to the clockwise planning, preparing long range plan, preparing a short range plan, preparing near term plan, evaluate the training, conduct unit missions, execution about 7 o'clock, and assessment all the way at 11 o'clock. Battle command is staff play with the key role successful execution of the company level of training. Besides providing company guidance, long range training plan, battalion commanders set the tone for the establishing safe, realistic training program, achieve the unit's training objectives. Commander must appear personally involved in all phases of the training management cycle. The most important battalion commander is a key leader with the power to protect companies for the training detractors by ruthless enforcement and lock in with the major events agreed upon during training briefings conducted contained and signed training schedule of the commanding sergeant major is personally responsible for advising commanders on all matters pertaining to the enlisted soldiers. And in the capacity of the command sergeant major of the mandate, they ensure the soldiers receive the best possible training. Additional command sergeant majors with other NCO leaders help with the integration of the collective and individual soldier tasks. As command sergeant major asks the commander to ensure that the NCO select appropriate soldier tasks to support each collective task selected for training. Figure 1-2 shows the linkage between command sergeant major and NCO leaders commanding training responsibilities. Each commander has a battle focus, selects the collective mission essential tasks, which goes with each command sergeant major NCO letter selects soldier task. Each commander selects collective mission essentials, conducts training assessment, determines training objectives, determines strategy and plans for training, conduct pre-execution checklist, executes training and conduct after action, and evaluates training against established standards. And then each commander, sergeant major, and NCO selects a supporting soldier task, conducts training assessment, determines training objective, determines strategy for planning for the training, conducts pre-execution checklist, executes training and conduct after action, review, evaluate training against established standards. Company commander. The company commander with the train manager for this company, historically, the commander has responsibility for everything the unit does and fails to do. Especially true for the training company commanders, personally trained platoon leaders with the platoon, evaluate section, squad team, the crew leaders with their units. If training needs to be scheduled, it is the company's commander's responsibility to see that it gets put on the training schedule. Executive order assign second command of the company. The executive officer must prepare to assume control of the company level training management program. Executive officer must aware of the company command guidance, understand how to schedule the training, request with appropriate resources. Additional executive officer is usually tasked with significant additional duties that have major impact on the training schedule. For example, the executive officer may also be the company maintenance officer for the capacity he advises the commander about the scheduled vehicle equipment services. Platoon leader and platoon sergeant. Platoon leader and platoon sergeants are responsible for the training proficiency of their platoon. They assist the training proficiency of the input section of the squad leader to identify the individual soldier collective tasks and needed. Trained platoon sergeants may also serve as platoon leader where no officer is assigned, must equally involved with the collective and individual proficiency of the platoon. Platoon leader assesses the training proficiency with the collective class, plans training, rehearses trainers, evaluates leader team, crew level collective training, conducts platoon training meetings. Platoon sergeant assesses, evaluates training proficiency, individual soldiers tasks, plans conduct of the training, selects individual soldier training tasks, solicits opportunity training, provides input of platoon leaders collective task assessment, assigning trainers, rehearsers, trainers conduct pre-execution checklists, ensure soldiers are prepared for and attend training. First sergeant holds a special place in the company training management area as the senior enlisted soldier in the company. The first sergeant is charged with maintaining high level of the proficiency soldier task. The NCO Leader Development Program. The non-commissioned officer wearing a chevron is supposed to be the best soldier in the platoon. He is supposed to know how to perform the duties expected to him, and the American soldier expects the sergeant to be able to teach him how to do his job and expects even more from his officers. Omar N. Bradley, General of the Army. First sergeants keep tasks of the training pulse of the company. Do this many of the ways, not with the least, which of the constant monitoring of the soldier training. This can be formally, such as an announced inspection, informally, such as a periodic book review of the NCO's leader book. First sergeant also has a formal responsibility during quarterly training briefs. During this briefing, the first sergeant discusses specific training topics such as CTT, survival skills and assessment unit, Bell, force, focus, soldier, NCO, leader training programs, soldier training proficiency feedback of the current training events, company education, army physical fitness tests, weapon qualification, data re-enlistment, status overweight programs. Other leaders have training management responsibilities. Slice leaders must keep the company commander informed of the training need, with the ability to help the unit with special training, the supply Sergeant Maintenance Team Chief provide input with commanders so the important trainings against the events get scheduled. Long-range planning definition. At the company level, the long-range planning encompassed with the training is planned with a resource at 12 months of the active component, 36 of the reserve component in advance. For example, the resources of the plan would include training areas, ammunition, fuel. By conducting long-range planning, units can predict their needs and coordinate the support well in advance of the plan. Training planning calendars. Long-range plan is translated in planning calendars for use of subordinate units in their planning process. The active component ballot battalion calendar covers one training year, normally coincidence with the official year of the reserve component. Calendar covers 3 training years of planning horizon. Also, components of these plans prepares appropriately for the major training advance. Allows soldiers to make plans, leave military school of special training without conflicting with the major training events. Planning calendar provides specific information on training events. Generally, each separate event has a beginning and end date, as well as a brief description of the activity. The calendar is displayed in the standard Army training system format. Short-range planning definition. Short-range planning is a refinement of long-range planning. Short-range planning defines a specific detail, broad general guidance for the long-range plan. Short-range plan begins with the training assessment rules, specific commanding training guidance. Short-range planning at the battalion company level, the planning of horizon of 3 months, active component, 12 months for reserve component. For active component, short-range plans are prepared for each quarter and published 6 weeks before start of the quarter. Reserve component battalion's yearly guidance is published 3 to 4 months before the start of the training year. Commanding guidance. Commanding guidance is a product of short-range planning at company level. The company guidance that comes with the battalion commander of the company trains guidance of the document with a description of the training strategy assigned to the specific training objective with priority for the next quarter. Active career year reserve component with the battalion commander base of the command training guidance on the input with the brigade and higher commanders along with the planning recommendations. Subordinate leaders commanding training guidance is very specific to nature and normally addressed to the topics such as commander's assessment and mission essential tasks like proficiency, training priorities, integration, slicing training, other units of habitual fight and training together, impact time management skills on schedule training, duty company, for example, integration, soldier leader, collective training, evaluation, inspections, and feedback. Soldiers want to do what the boss wants it done, and if they do not, it's because he has done something wrong because he did not communicate his desires. General Bruce C. Clark. Quarterly year after training briefing, each quarter active component units. Yearly reserve component company commanders first of the sergeant brief of the brigade commanders and training related to issue of the briefing to discuss path of the present and future training expectation brief. Company commanders seek approval for their training plans. Once approved, the brigade commander agrees to provide appropriate resources, then promise to ruthlessly protect the company from unprogrammed training detractors. Quarterly, yearly training briefings are high priority events impacting the entire chain of command. It is important all primary leaders, first is sergeant and platoon leader and PSG, platoon sergeant, slice leaders attend the training briefing of the company commander with a briefing is designed to create confidence of the chain command by ensuring the leaders of all levels understand in the intent of the senior commanders. As a result, the company command can make effective independent training decisions as they execute approved training plan. Near-term planning definition. Near-term planning to identify specific action required to execute the short-range plan. Near-term planning covers 4 to 6 week period before execution of the training of the active component units, 4-month period of the reserve component unit. Near training plan is conducted weekly for the active control units, monthly as reserve components, and consists of training meetings of the battalion company level. The training meetings. Training meetings are conducted weekly, monthly with the reserve component at the platoon and company level are the primary form of providing guidance for the form of training schedules. When NCO tells me that they're never get to train on the tasks that they really needed to train, I know the company commanders aren't running good training meetings. Brigade Commander, 3rd Armored Division. Chapter 2, Train Meeting Planning Process. Training Meeting Objectives.